Hi everyone, it's Jerry. Here's another interesting endgame study that I'd like to share with you. I feel most endgame studies are interesting, to me at least. This is one composed by Frédéric Lazard, published in 1915. It's white to move. As usual, I encourage you to spend some time with these. White to move, try and find the best continuation. Okay. Before I share the solution to this one, let me point out a thought or two, an idea that I had when working this one out, and that was to take this pawn right away. Maybe you can relate to this idea here, where you take the pawn and approach the black pawn in a way where you're moving along a diagonal towards the center. b4, king d5, b3, and at this point, well, we're not going to be able to catch the pawn if we just approach it like this. Maybe we can change direction. This was the idea I had with playing king e6. And now if black pushes, king f7, black promotes. However, we push with check, queen with check, and then give mate. Black, however, does not have to push the pawn when we decide to change directions like this. As soon as we approach the king side, black makes this one key move, king g7, the g pawn's going nowhere, and black will only then push through. So this idea of moving towards the center and changing direction is not strong enough. Posting the king on d5 is not generating any serious threat, and when we do in fact make use of this e6 square, black has that key move, king g7. This idea is just not strong enough. So what is the winning continuation here? Well, the first move is c3. Knight d5 or d1, hunting down the pawn. King takes pawn now. Knight takes c3. King a3, or excuse me, king a6. Any of these two, same story. Just attack the pawn at this stage. b4, king a5. Black continues to push. We continue to run after it. And now the key move, and the key position you needed to recognize for the white king from the initial position. King a3. This is setting up stalemate tricks. After black promotes, the king now has no legal moves due to the queen and knight's position. White from this point would play g7. If king takes pawn, we take the queen. Therefore, king takes bishop, we would push. King takes queen, and this is stalemate. Doing something other than taking the queen, well, white can eventually force you to take the queen, and this will be stalemate. Promoting to something other than the queen, a rook will be a similar story. We're going to do the same stuff. Promoting to a bishop, this is not working either because after, let's say, push, it's not the only move. You could also go here right away, but just to make it really simple looking, you could push, get rid of all these pieces, and then in the end, play king to b2, and you will next win one of these two minor pieces, and the resulting position is a draw. Doing something else, like promoting to a knight, is not working. That's a check. You could play king to c2, and in fact just keep bouncing back and forth here, keeping pressure on both knights. By doing so, if one moves, you get the other one, but you could also even just get rid of all this other material, and this will also be a draw. Then it's best to just keep going back and forth and not pitch both the white pawn and bishop, but black cannot force checkmate in this position. Two knights, it's one of those odd things in the game, but just two knights and two kings on board, you cannot force checkmate with this material. Now, if you did not come up with a solution to this, let me give you a quick tip here. A type of reasoning that you could have used to help yourself be a little bit more successful with endgame studies like this. It is true that if we move our king, our opponent's next move will be to grab the pawn. The black knight from this position is he's just one move away from grabbing the pawn. If we push the pawn, the knight, of course, can still position himself in a way where he's just one move away from grabbing the pawn. So the timing is the same. Whether we capture the pawn and allow knight takes pawn like this, the timing will be the same. If we push the pawn and the knight plays here, the timing will yet again be the same. King takes pawn, knight takes pawn. The big question here is on which square should you allow the pawn to be captured? And as we saw in this composition, it's important that we force the knight to grab the pawn on the c3 square. This allows this idea where the knight controls these two edge squares, and when there is that promotion idea, it covers these other three squares. The trick here is then to sneak the king into this box area, which does go ahead and set up that little stalemate trick. So this is really the big idea, the big key to unlocking this one, I believe, and that is to find the reason, or excuse me, try to find the difference between these two squares. Which square would you rather have the knight capture the pawn on, c2 or c3? So as usual, feel free to leave any feedback in this video in the comments section below. Did you get the solution to this one? Did you try this attempt of moving towards the center and then changing directions? Any feedback in the comments section below is appreciated, and as usual, I hope you enjoyed it. That's all for now. Take care. Bye.